Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 8th of August, comes to you from London. And today I'm going to focus on the energy mix. We've got lots of clients who trade energy, especially in Europe, and I want to just run through the charts. I've had quite a lot of questions. Of course, everyone's been watching what's been going on in the main markets, macro globally, but today I just want to focus on energy. And of course, I produce the morning call energy report every morning. This morning, we went out as bearish on crude, bullish on most European energy products. That's how it looked at 8 o'clock in the morning. And that's the really key thing, is that the market is changing all the time. So we put this report out with all the trends and targets, and literally the situation can change. So if I look, for example, at TTF this morning, we had upside targets on the 1 minute chart. And if I now go to the TTF chart, we can look at the 1 minute chart here, and we can see that we've got these downside targets that have crept in. And so that's the really key point. This is what we saw this morning with this upside target. Then we saw a little bit of a reversal, downside targets, and now new upside targets kicking in. Now, I know a lot of you are reading the morning report, and I know many of you are also using the targets. And the idea is very much that at the point of time in the morning, we see what we see. It's watching those targets kick in intraday. And I'm always grateful to hear the feedback on people using the targets. So far, a lot of people have been giving me very positive feedback. So that's great. Anyway, let's look at the energy mix. We start by looking at Brent Crude, and here we see we are really still lulling in the 70s on Brent Crude. We do have a move just above the cloud on the 60-minute chart. Remembering this is my medium-term daily, my short-term 60-minute, and then I can go down to 10-minute, where I've got an even shorter-term picture, is what we call very short-term. It's labeled on the chart, and then the 1 minute targets. And again, we had downside targets this morning. Watch for new upside targets kicking in the day. That's the key thing, is watching how the price action on the very short term changes the picture. So here we see Brent Crude just crossing it back above the cloud. We've got upside targets here, just looking a little bit better on the short term, but having made a new low in August, not looking great. Really amazing when you think of everything that's going on in the world with wars and Russia being out of the equation on the oil markets. You would have thought, if you'd said 3 years ago what's going to happen to the oil price with all of that, people would have said oil is going to go to the moon. And yet technically we are really in the doldrums. If we look at WTI, of course, it's a similar picture here. We see here crossing above the cloud, but again, we just spiked lower in August than that June low, and that is a bearish picture on the daily, and on the 60-minute chart looking a little bit better. And of course, I can go to the very short-term charts. If I go to the 10-minute, you can see here these downside targets kicking in. That really was what tempered our view today. And looking at the 1 minute, if you're trading very short-term, that's what you're going to look at. So really quite interesting there. US NatGas, we did get back above $2, and that's really quite key. This is still bearish on the daily chart, and 210 is the level now that we need to really break. And again, we went out this morning on NatGas as neutral. We didn't have these downside targets when we put the report out this morning, but now we've got the downside that is just pointing a little bit like 1 to 2% lower on the price, just based on those targets that kicked in this morning. Taking a look at coal, we can see here that we've got good upside targets on the 60-minute chart, because coal is less liquid, of course, and we do have these resistance levels. 126 is currently a level, and then 131, we really need to break those levels. We had this target given back at 114 to 127, nearly got there. We just activated a new upside target to 134. So the targets are really useful there. Another one is LNG. If we take a look at LNG, of course, it's only given to you on a daily benchmark. You just hit the T key on your chart, and it will put all the trends and targets on, and we can just go and add some targets. I have mine configured just to show the last 5, and we can see here that the targets actually occur more quickly, so you can actually just adjust the speed at which the target's being given. So these downside targets, and you can put as many on the chart as you want. If I go and put some more on, you can see here we had this upside target that was given there was met much more quickly. Downside target off that sell-off was given and met. These downside targets met. We've got a new upside target on LNG, some 40% higher to 1750. So that's really quite interesting. You can press the T key on any chart on any time frame, and it will give you the price targets. Remember, they are derived from point and figure charts targets that were invented over 75 years ago. So there's nothing new, just new way of looking at them on price charts. Taking a look at carbon now. Really quite interesting here. Got upside targets, but we've got very strong resistance here at 71.50, and that's really quite key there for carbon at the moment. Breaking to that new high is important, and we see here that we are just still finding support on the daily cloud. Went through on the price, looking a little bit better, but the upside, we break that 71.50 level. That's really quite key. But we have been in an uptrend on carbon for the last few weeks, although we had that real sell-off in June, which was a bit scary for quite a lot of people. Taking a look at gas. Now, really quite interesting what's going on in TTF. First thing is I've got these charts, and by the way, these charts are all coming from Refinitiv, the new workspace in Refinitiv. Updater is compatible with that. Really easy to move across from Icon to the new workspace. Just see for yourself. It's really fantastic, and I'm really enjoying using the new environment. Moves all your histories across. You just disable Icon feed and you enable the workspace feed and Updater, and away you go. And clients are already reporting the move is seamless. So if you want to move across to workspace, I really recommend it. It's a good move from Icon. So here we see the upside targets on TTF. But what's interesting is this is the rolled contract. And if we look at the not rolled contract, this is on the daily chart. We see here we've got quite a key resistance point, 39.50 at the moment. So that's really what we're watching. We've touched that today. Can we make a new high? Now that's happening on the contract. We've got slightly different targets there. If we look at the 60-minute chart, you'll see here that the targets, again, are just slightly different, 40.83, 43.48, and here we've got 40.83, 43.48, but we don't have that target on the not rolled contract. So this is the rolled contract. It just adjusts the history. It means you've got more history to look at, and that's really what's key. But of course, it's not showing that same level of resistance that you would see on the non-rolled contract. I like to look at both. If you're looking at key levels, you want to look at the actual contract. But if you're doing more longer term analysis, the rolled contracts, because each jump in the roll will generate a target. So that's something you do need to think about. So TTF looking very strong there on the 60-minute chart. If we look at the seasonal upside targets given, nearly met. And if we look at MBP, similar picture here. No big surprises there. We're following TTF upside targets. Look at those train tracks. That's what we're looking for, breaking higher. Taking a look at German power, of course, power contracts are annual contracts, and here we see we've got these upside targets again on power, so just breaking higher, looking a little bit better there. Interesting if we just look at some of the other contracts. French power, we're just waiting for this activation there, and Italian power, much the same picture. And of course, we covered Nordic power in our morning call report. This is the quarterly contract. That's been quite interesting as well. Taking a look at some of the other markets, I use OTC Global Holdings data that comes into Updater. That's included with the package, and we can see here European gas hubs, but I also like to just go through. This is all on the modeled data. So this is daily modeled data. And we can see here we've got some markets that you wouldn't normally get to see because they're not literally liquid enough. So we can go to Polish, Austrian, Swiss, and all the targets there. So really quite key. Romanian, Bulgarian, really very interesting to be able to go to this data that's modeled data to get your targets for those markets. Bulgaria, Slovenia, really, really interesting. The key thing is that for the moment, energy is still very much in an uptrend. We've had a wobble in June, but the trend is clear on the daily chart. So don't be surprised to be seeing new highs being made, pushing to these targets. You've just got to keep an eye on the targets. And of course, if you're trading short term, you've then got to go to the 1 minute chart. You see a new target just kicked in there. The downside targets, really quite key. The 10-minute charts, targets are all there. Those of you who are using the targets are giving us great feedback. Just keep an eye on those targets. that's it for today. Until next time, happy charting. Bye for now.